What if the most dangerous cartel in your city doesn't sell on corners? It rents warehouses under fake names and ships aid at 3 a.m. Minnesota became the quiet brain of a Somali-linked network called HeroI, moving contraband through trusted trucking routes without a sound. A single container kept looping back. Why would a charity shipment circle the same hubs? Inside, rifle components. That discovery flipped a narcotics case into a national security operation. In the next minutes, I'll show how one data blip cracked open a $120 million logistics machine. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The charity stamp looked clean, the routing label didn't. The same container pinged the Minneapolis scan lane twice in one night. Then again, 2 nights later, slipping through as if the system forgot it had already seen it. Relief cargo doesn't orbit a metro hub after midnight. It lands, clears, and moves. So why did this one keep coming back like a ghost with a barcode? Manifest Analytics caught the first crack. The declared commodity sat under an aid code, but the route reserved cold chain capacity with reefer-compatible truck assignments and priority cross-dock windows at facilities that typically handle vaccines or biologics. Those lanes charge more. They also leave cleaner records. Then came the rescans. The same container ID registering at small regional hubs that don't usually see international aid freight, and always between 1 and 4 a.m. A human could miss that noise. A clustering model didn't. Agents walked in expecting pills or precursors. The timestamp suggested tight controls, short dwell times, brief overnight warehouse stops on month-to-month leases, and carrier IDs that kept changing right after the odd scans. That is not how street crews move product. It looked like someone who knew the freight language was writing sentences they expected nobody to read. The breadcrumb trail started with duplicate bill of lading numbers that differed by a single character, enough to split audit trails without tripping basic checks. At 2 truck courts outside the city, the container swapped tractors for short-haul units with local plates, ran east into Wisconsin, then boomeranged back to Minnesota before splitting into smaller loads. On paper, the moves resembled rejected deliveries and reconsignments. On GPS, they drew a loop that made no commercial sense for aid. This is where data-led interdiction earns its keep. DHS and CBP teams don't just hunt contraband. They hunt patterns that don't belong. Anomaly clustering links small irregularities, like night rescans, repeat cold chain booking on non-perishables and carrier swaps, to form a signal stronger than any one stop. Random checks snag the sloppy. Networks like this survive randomness. They die when the math builds a case. Minnesota gives a network reach without a spotlight. Interstates 35, 90, and 94 cross within easy dray of intermodal yards that lift boxes from rail to road in minutes. You can run freight east to Chicago, south to Kansas City, or west to the Dakotas fast, without sitting in coastal customs bottlenecks or port police patrol zones. The Twin Cities also hold enough warehouse stock to hide churn. Plain boxes, plain leases, plain forklifts, and that churn is the camouflage. Rotating LLCs sign 3-month terms, shift operations after midnight, and pay for off-peak dock slots. Night turns, quick turns, clean floors, no questions. To anyone watching from a distance, it looks like normal volume smoothing. To the models, it looks like noise repeating on a schedule. When agents finally cracked the box, they braced for blister packs and drums. The weight felt wrong. The pallets rode denser than pharma, braced with foam designed to defeat vibration, not preserve temperature. The cartons stacked with tight tolerances, each corner protected, the kind of care used to protect machined edges, not glass vials. Under the humanitarian wrap sat rifle components, uppers, lowers, bolts, barrels, each precision machined, each serialized. The numbers synced with fragments from prior shipments that traced back through those nocturnal loops. The case shifted in an instant from pills to parts, from overdose risk to a logistics spine feeding weapons into the heartland under a charity banner. So if one container carried a weapons backbone hidden under a feel-good label, what structure kept the rest invisible? To find it, you don't just chase trucks. You map the minds that scheduled them. the money that fueled them, and the quiet rules that forced the lanes to open exactly when nobody was looking. Cutting a network like this starts with a trick question. Who do you arrest when the coordinators never touch a single part? The people giving orders only move schedules, money, and silence. You can handcuff drivers all day and the lanes keep running. So how do you take the head when the head exists as a calendar and a balance sheet? The structure ran in 3 clean tiers. At the bottom, drivers and subcontracted couriers handled steel and asphalt. They knew pickup windows, not payloads. In the middle, schedulers booked dock times, reserved intermodal lifts, and preloaded route alternates keyed to weather, way station status, and lane outages. At the top sat a small strategist cell. They owned the route logic, cross-border finance, and the overseas handshakes that guaranteed containers left foreign ports with the right labels. The cell never issued direct orders over the same channel twice. They pushed tasks through rotating dispatch identities, making the whole thing feel like a normal brokerage operation that just happened to run very clean. Kick in the wrong door and you trigger the system they planned for. Encrypted apps rotate keys on short cycles. The shell companies expire on schedule and relaunch under new managers with fresh EINs. Bank accounts move through nested fintech rails, clearing just long enough to pay leases and fuel cards. Lose a hub, and the network shifts volume to a parallel path inside hours. It survives arrests by design. It requires disruption across its calendar. Minnesota functioned as the control plate. Loads arrived by rail and truck, dropped into quiet cross-docks, and deconsolidated under night labor that clocked out before dawn. From there, the flow split along pre-cleared windows, southeast into Illinois along I-94 and I-90, back roads into Wisconsin to avoid way station cameras after midnight, south through I-35 for Iowa, and a late push to Ohio using warehouse-to-warehouse transfers that never lingered more than 2 hours. Each lane had a backup carrier, a shadow bill, and a second warehouse on hold, ready if a dock manager called off or a state trooper set up a surprise blitz on the interstate. Criminal research explains why this worked. Compartmentalization limits cascade failure. Academic studies on organized crime and counter-terror logistics show that when nodes only know their immediate task, a single raid removes labor, not knowledge. That is what the strategist cell banked on. Drivers could be replaced from day labor boards. Schedulers could be swapped with a templated SOP. The crown jewels were the route logic, the vendor relationships, and the disciplined timing that kept night windows open across 4 states. Then a patrol stop in rural Wisconsin shifted the timeline. A box truck rolled past a weight check with uneven axle load. Inside, officers found 39 rifles in components, wrapped to match the foam profile from the flagged container. Serial sequences and tool marks lined up with the earlier pallets. That bridge connected freight scans to purchase orders and wire transfers. Investigators could now match IMEI pings from burner phones to dispatch entries and bank movement to the nights those windows opened. The freight world, the money world, and the comms world finally overlapped. That alignment snapped prosecutors into a different lane. This was not a possession case. It carried the weight of coordinated movement of weapons parts across state lines with foreign sourcing and domestic redistribution. The charge theory moved toward conspiracy that touches governance and infrastructure, not just contraband in a trunk.